Right now, the National Weather Desk. Hear from a survivor of the LA wildfires 1 year after the flames destroyed homes and businesses.
Take me home to the place I belong.
Why experts say climate change is leading to bigger and more destructive storms.
Biggest tide and storm at the same time that we've had in about 30 years here.
Feet of snow are a welcome sight in the mountains outside Seattle.
A little later in the season than we would have liked, but it still came.
Whales make an unexpected appearance off the South Carolina coast.
Really important to protecting animals like this that could go extinct in our lifetime.
And why some people may have another chance to catch the northern lights tonight.
From our nation's capital, this is the National Weather Desk.
Good morning and welcome to the National Weather Desk. I'm Angela Brown. This week marks 1 year since some of the worst wildfires in California history. That's when fire erupted in the Pacific Palisades and Altadena sections of LA. At least 31 people lost their lives. The flames burned nearly everything over 80 square miles. 16,000 homes, businesses, and other buildings were gone in a matter of days. Today, the debris is gone and some rebuilding is underway, but most of these neighborhoods are far from returning to normal. Most people who lost their homes still live somewhere else. Max Goldwasser has a story of one survivor who is still recovering.
You look around the neighborhood, it's all gone. It's not just my house, it's that house, that house, that house, that house. It's just all over the place.
They say home is where the heart is. But for Rupert Garcia, his heart was inside that home in Altadena. He lived there for 51 years. His daughter and son-in-law were there too. And in a matter of minutes, the Eaton fire burned it to nothing but a memory. 1 year later, I listened as Rupert recounted every moment like it was yesterday.
This was the worst thing that ever happened. Looking at my kids going, "You gotta leave." "No, Dad, I don't want to go. I don't want to go." Her husband's grabbing her, trying to put her in the car. I'm looking at her through the window. She's freaking out.
The images, the emotions, still so fresh.
Damn, brings back a lot of memories.
But remembering what his neighborhood looked like, he says, is almost impossible.
That was on fire that morning that we came.
Rupert's home was one of 9,400 structures that burned in the Eaton fire. 19 people died. The Palisades fire, which also ignited January 7th, burned 6,800 homes and buildings and claimed 12 lives, making them some of the most destructive and deadliest wildfires in California history.
This used to be a pizza shop, a yogurt shop, and on the corner there, a UPS. None of it exists anymore.
LA County has a permitting progress dashboard to track the rebuilding process. Of the nearly 3,000 applications received, less than 20% have started construction. Rupert says his permit isn't even approved yet. So in the meantime, he's been living in an apartment in Glendale, his daughter and her husband in Pasadena, meaning his home and his heart have yet to find each other again.
Like country road song? Country road, that one? Man, that jacks me up, dude. Take me home to the place I belong.
Well, the San Francisco Bay Area is still recovering from strong storms that hit the region over the past few weeks. Luz Pena spoke to residents and a climate change expert on what these events could look like in the future.
After a storm coupled with record king tides swept the Bay Area, residents are now processing the reality that this can happen again.
As far as we know, it's the biggest tide and storm at the same time that we've had in about 30 years here.
Over the weekend, this neighborhood in Larkspur flooded. Water entered garages as residents came out in kayaks and paddleboards.
We had to, kind of swim in and out.
With a break in the rain, garages were open, airing out the damage.
This has been happening for generations as well, so I think it's just some of the ongoing things we deal with Mother Nature.
This video from the UC Santa Cruz Center for Coastal Climate Resilience shows a visualization of San Mateo County, an area that faces significant sea level rise impacts. This is what they're projecting during a 100-year storm. Professor Mike Beck, director of this center, is watching what's happening closely.
King tides give us a good picture into what future sea levels can look like and the problems that that creates. In the current events, you can see that those problems, particularly this time of year, are going to be quite commonly coupled with rainwater and strong winds. So the strong winds are going to be pushing those tidal waters even higher up on us.
With rising sea levels due to climate change, Professor Beck said king tides are to be expected.
Usually talking 2, 3, sometimes depending upon what we're looking at, the average 4 feet of water additional with the high tide.
In San Francisco, king tides led to flooding on Embarcadero. The Port of San Francisco said they're prepared.
In terms of the long-term plan, the Port of San Francisco, along with many other city agencies, is working with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers on a resilience plan along the waterfront.
Well, people living in 15 northern states could have another chance to see the northern lights tonight. NOAA's Space Weather Prediction Center says a geomagnetic storm could produce an aurora beginning late tonight through the early morning hours of tomorrow morning. For best viewing, you'll need clear skies and also dark skies with limited light pollution. And up to 20 inches of new snow fell in the Cascade Mountains of Washington and Oregon over the last 2 days. At higher elevation, the snow was measured in feet. That made for tricky travel, but as Natalie Fahmy reports, the snow is a delight to skiers and snowboarders. She has more from Snoqualmie Pass.
For many, Wednesday morning meant putting snow coats on and clipping into skis.
And it's beautiful, man. I could not ask for a better day.
Andy Budd got to Alpental with 2 friends early in the morning, all equally excited for opening day.
What better way to kick off the ski season than a little parking lot cooking and fresh tracks.
And a long-awaited opening day too. Still, many skiers are looking at the positives of the delayed start.
A little later in the season than we would have liked, but it still came.
I mean, opening too, so like nobody's really touched any of the snow yet.
But the drive to the mountains was not easy, with a winter storm warning in effect until Thursday at 4 p.m.
A little sketchy. The plows hadn't come through yet, so we just kind of made our own way, but we got up here.
But they all tell me the long wait and snowy drive will all be worth it.
Winter storms in Maine can be messy. Meteorologist Hannah Sheehy breaks down how warm and cold fronts impact winter weather in northern New England.
Typically, in the northern hemisphere, winds typically flow counterclockwise around a low pressure system. This causes air to rise upwards. As the air rises, it cools, moisture will condense, and clouds form. This is also how precipitation becomes more likely in this situation. A front represents a boundary between 2 different air masses. These air masses contain different temperatures, wind profiles, and moisture. Warm fronts can leave Maine with some tricky weather. This is a boundary that separates cold air ahead of the front and warm air behind it. Warm air will rise above the cold air at the surface and create a layered temperature profile in the atmosphere. This is when we can get freezing rain and sleet during the winter months. Cold fronts, on the other hand, in the wintertime can bring very frigid temperatures out of the Arctic and strong winds, leading to an aggressive wind chill.
And here are a couple of time lapses from earlier this week we'd like to share with you right now. We start with thick morning fog rolling into Springfield, Illinois. It covered everything except the dome of the state capitol building. And then just after 9 o'clock, the sun helped burn it away. Next, we head to Arizona, where you can see clouds rolling over Humphreys Peak and Flagstaff. At first, the clouds disappear after hitting the mountains. That's due to orography left. Eventually, a higher level of clouds moved in, obscuring most of the peaks. And time now to go across the nation and check the weather in select cities. We start this morning in Oklahoma, where severe storms this morning are bringing rain, lightning, and a slight threat of hail and tornadoes. It will be mild today with highs approaching 70. The severe weather moves east tomorrow, impacting Birmingham, Alabama, and other southern cities. 2 to 4 inches of rain could fall by Saturday. Temperatures in northern Alabama will be mild with highs in the lower 70s. Now let's head north to Oswego, north of Syracuse, New York. Some nearby towns saw up to 5 feet of lake effect snow, but now it's melting as temperatures are rising into the upper 30s and low 40s. And if you're looking for the best weather in the country today, Honolulu may be the place. The Hawaiian capital is looking at partly sunny skies today and a high of 80 degrees. And coming up the National Weather Desk, we'll head to South Carolina and look at how the weather is impacting beach renourishment efforts in that state.
I'm meteorologist Charlie Lopresti with Look at the Northeast. We have some well-deserved warmer temps on the way for our Thursday with some sunshine. We're back in the low to mid 40s and a few spots may nudge 50 degrees. Here we are early in the day with a partly sunny sky. 1 o'clock in the afternoon, we're in the 40s and near 50 for most towns. Our next weak weather maker in the Northeast will be a front approaching from the west, and that'll be on Friday. That's 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Most areas will get some rain showers.
I'm Chief Meteorologist Gerard Bailey. Here's a look at the Mid-Atlantic region. High pressure exiting as we move through late Thursday, so a cooler but sunnier day as we head into your Thursday. Temperatures will still be fairly comfortable before our next system starts to arrive. A few showers possible on Friday, but really better chances on Saturday. Again, highs will still be in the 50s for your Thursday afternoon, but it looks like some of that milder air will start to creep northward on Friday. We'll get closer to the 50s and 60s, especially in a Saturday.
Hi, meteorologist Jennifer Collins with a look at your southeast forecast. Some fog as we wake up on your Thursday morning with a chance for showers across the Mississippi River Valley. We'll stay warm for most of the southeast too, with dry conditions across most of central and south Florida. The chance for storms returns for the Mississippi River Valley heading into Friday too. Warm across the southeast, temperatures in the 60s for the Carolinas, into the mid 70s for the northern Gulf Coast, and across the central and south Florida area, expect temperatures in the low 80s.
I'm Matthew Hidalgo, and I'm the Daybreak Meteorologist for ABC 7 in Amarillo, Texas, and you're watching the National Weather Desk.
In South Carolina, workers continue to repair damage from heavy erosion along the coast. It's a problem that has attention from both local and federal agencies. But as Jason Ty reports, unpredictable weather makes it a difficult problem to solve.
We've had these king tides. We've had, pretty significant northeast winds that drive the tide higher than what's stated or what's expected.
Despite not getting a direct hit weather-wise this past year, Isle of Palms is seeing beach-damaging weather. That's why town efforts to renourish the coastal town are being upped by 2 years.
We'll do this in 2026. Our hope it'll last at least 8 years.
And that's just mainly the upper or Wild Dunes portion of the island. The city is handling that task, spending around $25 million to secure the surf and sand, starting perhaps late spring or early summer.
The projects going on right now include permitting for a major beach nourishment project that includes placement of about 2 million cubic yards of sand on the north and south end of the island. Also, the Corps of Engineers is currently placing sand on the south end of the island as part of beneficial use projects.
No matter where the erosion is on the island, fixing it is a big deal.
So the beach nourishment is incredibly needed right now at the city. The south end a couple of years ago had some very uncharacteristic erosion that occurred. It was very dramatic.
Meanwhile, the north end also loses around 100,000 yards of sand each year as well. The breach inlet work doesn't cost the city anything, since that's a federal effort. However, Mayor Philip Pound says the city's working with lawmakers to get funding for future work when using city resources. And keeping the beach lifestyle in good health is key to the city's survival.
And staying in South Carolina, where at least 4 pairs of North Atlantic right whale mothers and calves have been spotted off the coast. As Fallon Mears found out, the sightings are rare, even though the area is a hot spot for whale births.
They typically spend sort of the warmer months up in the Northeast, all the way up to Canada. And then during the kind of fall, winter, between November and April, they come off our coast, off the Southeast to give birth, which is for this population is really important because they are so endangered.
According to NOAA Fisheries, a 19-year-old right whale and her second known calf were spotted 10 miles east of Sullivan's Island Lighthouse on December 11, 2025. And a 40-year-old right whale and her eighth known calf were spotted 18 miles east of Kiowa Island the day after Christmas.
We're going to keep them a little shallower. So they're going to kind of hug the coastline, and they look, like I said, they look for them between the coast and about 30, 40 miles offshore.
NOAA Fisheries reports that there are approximately 380 right whales, with only about 70 actively reproducing females. They are experiencing an unusual mortality event, meaning deaths are outpacing births.
Very important for fishermen to realize that they can cross paths with these animals. So I think, being very vigilant. I think the best thing you can look for is their blows, because unfortunately these animals are dark. They don't have a dorsal fin, and they typically hover just below the surface.
Lauren says the best thing to do when spotting a right whale is to stay 500 yards away.
For both boater safety and for whale safety, because a small boat doesn't want to hit a large whale either. There can be a lot of damage to your vessel.
You can use this whale map at whalemap.org before your offshore trip for latest whale detections in order to reduce collisions.
They are really important to protecting animals like this that could go extinct in our lifetime.
Another rare animal sighting happened recently in Wisconsin. While it's not uncommon to see deer in the state, it is uncommon to see them inside of a home. One recently broke into the basement and was there for days. Josh Cavender has that story.
Okay. Do you want a second unit?
Yeah, this could be interesting.
Okay, just took me a minute to make sure I was reading the call correctly.
A dispatch call for a broken window, a police presence, and animal control. All for a deer that managed to make its way into this Grand Chute home Monday.
We actually netted it, and we were going to use a blanket, but the animal had been in there a couple of days, so it was a little bit tired out, and we were able to just grab onto it by hand and take it out.
It had been there a couple days?
We think maybe Saturday.
According to CeeLo, the owners weren't home at the time of the break-in, and it wasn't until Monday morning when a neighbor noticed the deer in the basement. CeeLo showed Fox 11 around to where the damage happened.
Right there's the spot.
Since it had a few days in the house, the deer had time to make its way around.
It's a mess. Glass and poop everywhere.
The deer wasn't injured going in or out of the house. CeeLo says an animal winding up in a home is more common than you'd think.
Every season we deal with that. Yeah, anything from squirrels chewing up windows to raccoons coming down chimneys to deer smashing through windows.
After getting out of the confines of the house, the deer was immediately released into the wild. Now all that's left is a lot of cleanup for the homeowners.
Meteorologist Andrew Buck Michael answers viewer questions on Facebook in a segment he calls the Weather Bucket. This week he got an interesting question from a viewer about what it means to be a meteorologist. Take a look.
What is up, everyone? Andrew Buck Michael back with another round of your Weather Bucket questions for the new year. But before we jump into those, I want to address this question right out the gate. Melinda asking, is meteorology in fact a real science, or are all of you weather folks just theoretically making educated guesses and hoping you're at least 39% correct? I'm just going to answer the question and not dive into whether that's condescending or not. Let's go over here to the monitor. So every morning when I come into work, I look at forecast models like this. It has a lot going on. You can see the snow, the rain, but there's also the black lines. Those are isobars, different pressure gradients. The tighter they are, the windier it's going to be. The farther out they are, the less wind. You also see the blue lines and the red lines. That's an indication of above freezing and below freezing temperatures. Now we put in a handful of equations for the millions of data points just across the United States, let alone the whole globe. But the atmosphere is full of water vapor sloshing around, just like this guy jumps in the pool, causing waves. And what we do as meteorologists is try to predict where those waves are going to go. So there's a lot of science, but there's also a bit of art to it. You can see putting that map in motion, get that snow moving its way up to Ohio. But obviously we're not showing you this on TV. We're showing you the 7-day forecast. So that snow that moves its way over Texas up towards Ohio, that's what we have for this snow for this particular Friday and Saturday. And then next week, a little bit of snow on Monday that shows up on the forecast model as well. The farther out you go into the future, the more variance there is between forecast models and also from run to run. We get about updates every 6 hours. But just to give you an idea, 18 hours out for one example here, no rain over Ohio, rain over Ohio, rain over Ohio, some spotty rain, no rain. So just even 18 hours out, there is a variance or difference between the different forecast models. The farther out you go, there's even more of a difference. So again, there's a lot of science, but also a bit of art that goes into your forecast.
And as we go to break, we take flight over Moab, Utah, nestled in the LA Sal Mountains.
Good Thursday morning, everyone. I'm meteorologist Andrew Buck-Michael. We have got rain moving its way in, including some thunderstorms across portions of the Midwest here for your Thursday. Even a little bit of snow on the north edge of that, where it's a little bit colder. As we head into the day tomorrow, we will continue to watch that rain move its way towards the Ohio Valley. Got a couple light snow showers across the northern portions of the Great Lakes there possible tomorrow. And some light snow showers and flurries heading into Saturday.
Well, good Thursday morning to you. Meteorologist Chris Suchan. Look at our forecast today across the region. And as we have a front move across, there is the risk for a couple of gusty thunderstorms, Oklahoma, Arkansas, with a marginal severe weather outlook. We head into Friday's forecast, could still get some heavy thunderstorms. Arkansas and Louisiana, you see a slight risk for severe storms, the wind gusts and hail. Otherwise, might get a couple flurries in Amarillo, and we're cooling down late Friday into the weekend.
Well, hi there and a good Thursday morning to you, everybody. I'm meteorologist Shannon O'Donnell. Finally, seasonably cold in the PNW. We have huge amounts of snow to enjoy over the Cascade ski parks, and you can see a big cool down coming toward Phoenix and the Four Corners region. Courtesy of that disturbance, it will bring lots of snow to the Rockies outside of Denver, and we're finally trying for some drying in the city by the bay. And that's the scene from here.
You are watching the National Weather Desk.
Well, there's a new lightning leader among the 50 U.S. states. Meteorologist Noah Hawk takes us inside a lightning report.
For those over at AEM, they released a lightning report, and now they're saying that Oklahoma is the new lightning leader, especially when it comes to lightning density. They reported that Oklahoma recorded about 73 strikes per square mile. And just for context, a square mile is roughly the size of a large amusement park. And Kay County in Oklahoma saw the most amount and recorded about 123 per square mile. So that's a whole lot in just a small area. But in terms of some other lightning news, they found that Texas had the most number of strikes recorded at over 13 million. And the peak day for the most amount of strikes recorded was June 15th of over 929,000 of them. And the world's busiest airport, Hartsfield-Jackson, might have been impacted by some of those strikes, as they recorded over 10,000 strikes in just the year alone, seeing multiple days where flights had to be grounded.
And we'd love to share your weather content on the air. You can find us on all your favorite social media platforms and search the National Weather Desk. We'll be right back. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Angela Brown. Make it a great day, and I'll see you right back here tomorrow.